Namaste, and welcome back to Vibes of Divinity. Have you ever tried to help someone, to do a good deed, only to find that your actions led to an outcome you never intended? What if I told you that your greatest act of kindness could, in fact, be the very instrument of a fate you were trying to prevent? This is the paradox we will explore today. We often grapple with the concepts of free will and destiny. Do we forge our own path, or are we actors in a grand cosmic play already written? There is a story that beautifully illustrates this profound truth. Told across many retellings in Hindu lore, it remains as thought-provoking as it is timeless. It's a story about immeasurable power, boundless compassion, and the shocking revelation that sometimes, the most powerful force in the universe is not strength, but surrender. This is the story of the mighty Garud, the innocent Sparrow, and the quiet, unwavering wisdom of Lord Yama, the god of death. Stay with us, as this story might just change how you see your own actions, forever. Our story begins on the sacred mountain, Mount Kailash, the eternal abode of spiritual power and purity. Though revered as the realm of Lord Shiva, this majestic peak is more than just a divine residence. It is a nexus of celestial convergence, where deities from every realm gather for counsel, contemplation, and retreat. Bathed in the serenity of eternity, the sacred space awaited a presence divine. And then, Lord Vishnu arrived, radiant in celestial grace, seated upon Garud, his ever-vigilant companion, the mighty eagle. Garud was no ordinary bird. He was a primordial force of nature, whose wings had the power to stir the very winds of the cosmos, whose keen eyes could pierce through the veils of time and dimension, and whose loyalty to Lord Vishnu burned fierce and unwavering like an eternal flame. With his colossal wings folded in stillness, he stood not merely as a vehicle, but as the guardian of divinity, the vigilant savior, destined to act when danger approaches and righteousness is threatened. As the divine conversation unfolded, a new presence approached. Lord Yama, Dharmaraj, King of Justice. Yama is often misunderstood as a terrifying god of death, yet, in truth, he embodies Dharma itself. He does not create demise, he simply oversees the soul's transition, ensuring the immutable laws of karma and destiny are applied with perfect impartiality. On this day he had come to pay homage to Lord Shiva and to discuss the intricate balance that keeps the cosmos in harmonious motion. While the lords conversed in resonant, timeless tones, Garud remained ever watchful. His keen eyes swept across the vast paradise. It was then that he noticed a gentle flutter upon a tree. A tiny sparrow, a creature of pure, unassuming joy, flitted from branch to branch, pouring its heart into a crystalline song. The sight warmed Garud's mighty heart. Yet in the very next instant he observed something else. Lord Yama's gaze had settled upon the little bird. Yama paused mid-sentence, brow furrowing, not with anger, but with the deep, analytical wonder of an astronomer observing a star defy all expected courses. For a long heartbeat he studied the sparrow, then shook his head ever so slightly and resumed the celestial dialogue. Garud's protective spirit surged. He sensed the weight behind Lord Yama's gaze and knew instinctively, an innocent life had drawn the attention of destiny. In that moment, a quiet resolve awakened within him. He could not allow such a joyful being to meet its end while he stood watch. Compassion, pure and powerful, welled up from the depths of his being. With unwavering determination, he reminded himself, his wings could outrun time, his strength could cross realms. He would shield this fragile life from the decree of fate, no matter the cost. Without hesitation, Garud acted. In a blaze of golden light, he swept down and gently lifted the small sparrow, carrying it with utmost care as he soared into the skies. Then he unleashed his true speed. He did not merely traverse the sky, he crossed dimensions, spanning thousands of leagues in the span of breath. He left the celestial realm far behind, seeking a refuge beyond any mortal or divine reach. At last he discovered a dense, secluded forest clinging to a formidable mountain whose crags were seldom touched by foot or wing. Garud ascended to the tallest, most ancient tree. On a hidden branch, veiled by leaves like emerald shields, he gently placed the trembling sparrow. With a tender gaze, he offered the creature silent reassurance. In his heart, he believed he had carried it 1,000 lifetimes beyond the reach of death. Here, in this untouched sanctuary, it would be safe. It would live long and sing in peace, far from the gaze of fate. With his mission fulfilled and his heart at peace, Garud turned his mighty wings toward Kailash once more. In a span of time beyond mortal measure, he returned, arriving just as Lord Yama concluded his visit and prepared to take his leave from the sacred mountain. Garud quietly resumed his post, standing with the same unwavering focus as before, calm on the outside, quietly satisfied within. He believed he had protected the innocent, fulfilled his duty, and upheld righteousness. Little did he know that destiny still held a subtle, unexpected turn, one that would soon unfold before him. Feeling a quiet confidence and a heart full of curiosity, Garud stepped forward, bowing with reverence before the Lord of Death. He had seen something that stirred his thoughts, and now, he gently voiced his doubt. He had noticed the intensity in Yama's eyes when the little sparrow was present, and that silent gaze echoed in his heart long after the moment had passed. With calm respect, Garud inquired about the moment, seeking clarity. In response, Yama turned toward him, a slow, knowing smile forming on his lips, a smile touched with sadness, as if carrying the weight of something deeper. He acknowledged Garud's keen observation and began to explain. Yes, he had indeed been looking at the sparrow. But what filled his gaze was not judgment or malice, it was perplexity, even a kind of awe. Yama spoke with patience, his voice echoing the timeless wisdom of cosmic law. When he had seen the sparrow, he did what was natural to his role. He consulted its fate, its prewritten destiny, inscribed in the great scrolls of time. What he saw was startling. That small bird was destined to die in just a few minutes. But what troubled him was where and how this death was meant to occur. It was not destined to perish there on Kailash, that sacred, elevated space beyond the reach of ordinary time. Rather, its final moment was written to unfold in the most unlikely of places, in the jaws of a giant python, hidden deep inside a dark cave, at the foot of a towering, ancient tree, on a remote and wild mountain on earth, thousands of leagues away. Yama confessed his bewilderment. How could such a tiny, delicate bird, barely able to cross a tree, cover such an unimaginable distance in the short time it had left to live? He had no answer. Even for the Lord of Death, the workings of Niyati, destiny, can remain hidden until they unfold. And so, he had stood there, quietly marveling at the mystery, at how fate would arrange such an impossibility. But then, as if answering his silent question, it happened. Garud, in his kindness and protective instinct, had taken the bird and carried it across the very distance Yama had found so baffling. Unknowingly, in trying to save the sparrow, Garud had become the very instrument of fate, delivering the bird directly to its destined end. Yama paused, drawing in a slow breath before revealing the truth Garud had not anticipated. As he recalled that moment of cosmic confusion, wondering how the tiny sparrow could possibly reach its destined place of death, he had suddenly seen it all unfold before him. He had watched as Garud, moved by compassion and filled with purpose, had picked up the little bird with care. With his unmatched speed, Garud had flown across the realms and placed the sparrow exactly where it was meant to be, in that distant forest, at the base of the very tree where its end had been written. In trying to save the sparrow, Garud had unknowingly fulfilled the sparrow's fate. What had seemed like a rescue was, in fact, the final step in a destiny already written. Garud's noble intention had not changed the outcome, it had become the very means through which destiny accomplished its design. Yama's words were not harsh, but they carried the quiet weight of truth, a reminder that even acts of deep love and goodness sometimes serve a purpose far beyond our understanding. Silence. The joyous chirping of the sparrow was replaced by the deafening roar of understanding in Garud's mind. His immense power, his legendary speed, his compassionate heart, all had been mere cogs in a machine far greater than he could comprehend. In his sincere effort to protect life and resist the pull of destiny, he had become its most efficient servant. Garud bowed his head, not in shame, but in profound, world-altering humility. For the first time, he understood the true nature of the universe. So what is the profound knowledge this story offers us on our own spiritual path? First, it teaches us about humility over self-reliance. Garud's intention was pure gold, but it was guided by a deep sense of personal responsibility, the feeling that I alone must save it. The universe gently showed him that his power, while vast, is just one thread in an infinite tapestry. True strength lies not in trying to control the outcome, but in aligning ourselves with the divine will. Second, it reveals the nature of destiny, or niyati. This story doesn't say we should be passive or not help others. That is not the message. The message is about our attachment to the outcome. We are all called to perform our dharma, to act with kindness, compassion, and courage. But the results of our actions are not, and have never been, in our hands. This is the core teaching of Karma Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita: act, but surrender the fruits of your action to the divine. Third, this story is a lesson in surrender. The ultimate spiritual practice is to do our best, to love, to help, to serve, and then to let go, trusting that a higher intelligence is at play. When we try to control everything, we create anxiety and suffering. When we act and then surrender, we find peace, regardless of the outcome. Garud's act was one of kindness. The universe did not punish him for it. It simply used his act of kindness to fulfill its own grand design. So the next time you set out to do good, do it with all your heart. But do it without the ego of being the savior. Do it as an offering, an instrument of the divine, and then release your attachment to how it's supposed to turn out. For you may be playing a part in a story far more beautiful and complex than you can currently see. What does this story mean to you? Have you ever experienced a moment like this in your own life? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Your wisdom helps our community grow. And if this story resonated with your soul, please honor its message by liking this video, sharing it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribing to Vibes of Divinity for more stories that nourish the spirit. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment of reflection with us. Until then, may you walk your path with compassion, act with a full heart, and find peace in divine surrender. Inspire and stay inspired.